Okay guys, in the last video we understood what exactly is core, and if you've not seen that video, please do, because a lot of the misconceptions are going to be eradicated. Because again, core is what is left when I cut my arms and legs. Okay, so anything and everything that stabilizes you when your arms and feet are moving, that is core. So anything and everything, if my arms and my feet and my legs are running, lifting, shaking, doing things, and that helps me keep myself stable, keep my spine stable, my core stable, my body stable, is the core. So here we're going to talk about how to train the core now. So there are a lot of different exercises, a lot of different variations, a lot of innovations, a lot of circus type tricks that happen, that you see online, on social media, that people do. But how exactly are they working the core? We have to find that out. So before that, we first have to understand what exactly, how exactly it starts, and from where you should also start. To start off, we have to look at the spine and how the spine functions. Okay, so spine is not just a curvy a bone. It's not. It is more flexible than what we know, than how a typical bone acts. Okay, so if this is the spine, if this is your natural curve of the spine can extend. It can move back like this. The spine can flex. It crouches you, it extends you. This is from the side. From the front, the spine can make you go sideways, this way. And of course, the spine will make you rotate. So the spine also rotates. It flexes, extends, flex, rotate, sidewise, tilt. So this is what the spine does. To work the core, you have to address all these movements. You have to address flexion, you have to address extension, you have to address rotation, you have to address lateral flexion, the tilt, right? So I have marked here in the side view, this is flexion, it crouches you. This is extension, it extends you. In the front view or the back view, either ways. This tilt towards the left is a lateral flexion, left tilt. This tilt towards the right is again lateral, means side, flexion means lateral crouching, and this is towards the right. And of course R means rotation to either side. Now, core training is rather classified into two major modalities. One is isolative core, which is more static posture without your arms and feet moving. So if I probably hold a plank, that is your isolative core, or just hold a band, which is looped to the side of a pole maybe, and you're holding it like this without moving. There's no pot of press going on. That is another static posture. There are a lot of ways. Maybe one arm plank, that comes under isolative. So anything and everything that works your core without the arms and feet moving, or without the body moving, that is isolative. Plank and variants, band, hold variants, a lot of the other innovation that you guys can do, a lot of imagination that you guys can perform. So that is the isolative. Moving to the dynamic core, now here we have three different modalities again. So we have the moving plank example. So a moving plank could be, if I'm in a plank but I'm pulling a band, maybe I'm pulling a cable, or I'm doing a renegade row. Renegade row is when you are in a push-up position but you have dumbbells. You're on dumbbells and you're doing rows in that plank position. Okay, that is another. So you can see it's an isolation move, isolative core move, but your arms or your feet are moving. So that is one example. Another one is, of course, now you move to more advanced variation, which is your typical strength training. You have a loaded bar on your back that needs the most stability. you know, one of the most stabilizing, stable, infusing thing that is there from a typical core training is strength training. Bench press, push-ups, dips, pull-ups, deadlifts will work the core more than anything else. But that does not mean you don't do direct core activity. You have to make it stronger because it's working so much. It needs more strength. It needs more resilience. Then the final progression from a typical core specific move, dynamic core move, to strength training, and finally all this transfers to whatever you want to do in life. If you're an athlete, you're playing the sport. If you are someone who's preparing for a marathon, or someone who's preparing for an Ironman, or any competition or anything, if someone is preparing for a trek, maybe on the Himalayas or high mountains. So for that function, for that high level activity, this is your training. Your strength training, your core specific training, which will help you be more resilient and be able to do stuff more easily, if you may. So of course, a lot of other factors are also there. Your nutrition is there. You have your endurance type factors. You have your cardiovascular endurance. So, but this is a typical progression of the core and how we train the core. Okay, so just to summarize, we have the spine that moves, that flexes us, extends us, tilts us, and rotates. Then we're training the core by isolation. Static postures like plank or band holds or any holds, a cable hold or a row hold or even a dumbbell or barbell hold. We move to the dynamic core, which is a static posture but your arms and feet are moving. Progressed to a strength training movement, progressed to a sports specific or real life activity. Now, very interestingly, there are a few points I want to highlight here. Because the spine is doing all this stuff, your flexion, extension, sideways, lateral flexion and rotation. How do we train these specific movements? Because this is a very simple example that it's a moving plank, or now plank is only helping you develop strength in the flexion in your front. That means if you're hyperextending, the plank will help you restore that balance. It will make you come into flexion. Similarly, a glute bridge, okay, which is a reverse plank probably, you can say that. It's opposite, you're lying supine, you're lying face up. A glute bridge will strengthen your glutes and somewhat the lower back as well. So just as a plank is helping you get into position from extension, the glute bridge will help you get into position from flexion to extension. Okay, if you're crouched, if you are posterior pelvic tilt, you don't have glutes really, you don't have hips, then the glute bridge will help you restore. Anything and everything is bringing you into balance in a straight neutral spine posture. Similarly, if someone wants to train the obliques maybe, then working the sideways or the tilt, if you hold probably a heavy weight, let's say you're doing one arm carries or one arm lunges maybe, typically just holding the weight on one side and trying to be stable will help the core work that much, will make it work that much harder to keep you stable. Otherwise, if I'm holding this, if this is let's say 50 kgs, I will tend to go like this in my position. But because my core is strong, I will be able to stand tall. So what it is doing, even though whatever perturbations or whatever disturbances I'm causing in the system, weights or bands or movement or running or sprinting, I'm straight, my body is straight. So that is what the function of core is. Typically with rotation, let's say if I'm holding a band, if it's looped to the side, and I'm holding it like this and I'm being straight. If I don't have core strength to balance the tension of the band, then it will make me rotate like this. So I will go like this. But since my rotation capacity is equivalent or more than the tension of the band, I'm able to be straight while holding the band. So a lot of different exercises that I've posted in my videos typically do address all these patterns. There are isolative movements, dynamic core movements. So last thing, all these movements that I'm talking about that are training all these patterns, that means training as in the ultimate training is to be stable, but the weight or the load shifts from side to the front to the back. So it's anti. So if I'm doing a plank, it's anti-extension, right? I am extended. The plank is helping me be straight. Flexed. If I am flexed, the glute bridge or the back bridge will help me be stable and straight. So that is anti-flexion. If I am kind of holding a band like this or doing a one-arm plank, my body wants to go towards the other side, wants to fall, but I'm still holding it like this, anti-rotation. Similarly, if I'm holding a weight here, or maybe if I'm holding a weight on one side, like in overhead position or sideways position, just an example, my tendency is to go towards that weight, right? But my core is making me stable, straight. That is anti-lateral flexion. Anti-extension, anti-flexion, anti-lateral flexion, anti-rotation. These are all core moves, could come under isolative, could come under dynamic, moving type core. So an example of static, isolative, anti-extension could be a plank. Isolative anti-lateral flexion could be just the hold, a heavy dumbbell hold on one side. A dynamic anti-lateral flexion could be I'm walking with the dumbbell on one side. My feet are moving, so it's dynamic, but still working the obliques or the lateral flexion. So this is how holistically you work the core, right? Now you do your due diligence. You can put your imagination and do stuff. You just have to know that whatever you're doing, the core will be worked when whatever perturbations, whatever stuff that you're adding to your activity, you have to be straight and stable. If you're not, then it's not working the core and there are energy leaks happening. So check that out and see for yourself how things work. If you need any help, please reach out. Happy to help.